Hey everybody, Jesse Reed here with Jumper Entertainment. I'm here tonight with Wayward Saints. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Great.
Awesome.
Awesome. You guys mind introducing yourself for us?
My name is Darren Flower. I play guitar in Wayward Saints.
My name's Justin. I play guitar.
Lindsay, singer.
Aaron, drummer.
Bill, the bassist.
Awesome. Now you guys came together just before the pandemic. Can you tell us a little bit about how you guys did all come together, the five of you?
Well, a couple years ago, Justin, friend requested me. I guess he saw that I was posting about cool, like 70s rock bands on Facebook, and yeah, he befriended me, and one day we actually met up. We live in the same city of Mississauga. We decided that we liked each other and we wanted to form a band. So then we went looking for band members, and it was kind of difficult because there's a lot of great musicians out there, but you got to find the right people who really understand and appreciate the style of music, right? So it took a while to find everybody. We had some great musicians come out, but they weren't quite what we were looking for. And well, then we kind of put it all together around 2019. Took a while, but we did it.
That's so important in a band to have all the musicians gel with each other. Can you explain that at all? What is that energy just certain bands have when they come together?
Yeah, I'll take that. One of the things that I'm extremely grateful for with this band in particular is everybody's actually a really genuinely lovely person. And having been in tons of bands in the past, you know, I think I speak for probably a lot of musicians out there that there's usually one or two bad apples they've had to deal with in a rotation of trying to make a band work.
Yeah.
And, you know, it can be stressful. It inhibits creativity, morale, the whole bit. And in fact, I was telling these guys, you know, tonight and just reminding them, I thought these guys were putting me on because they were really nice. I thought that this can't be real, like, because I was so used to having, you know, a bit of ego, a little bit of drama.
Yeah.
And that's just not in this band. You know, I mean, if there's a disagreement of any kind, we work through it. We get through it. I mean, that's normal. We're human. But, I mean, everybody's just really lovely. And that's, to me, like the secret sauce of this band, for sure.
Great answer.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about your guys' sound in just a second here. But first, can we go through, can you guys tell me what some of your own personal influences are?
Okay, well, I would say my four horsemen of classic rock that I really care about is Led Zeppelin, of course. I really am into the Allman Brothers Band, Johnny and Edgar Winter, and Humble Pie. That's my four horsemen right there. But that, you know, I also like Grand Funk Railroad and Dr. John and Marshall Tucker Band, and there's a lot of great stuff. Aerosmith.
That's way more than four.
Yeah. I can't count. That must be like 10. Oops, I'm sorry.
You just gotta keep it going.
I mean, I'd say for me, I grew up on the classics. Angus Young from AC/DC is probably one of the reasons why I picked up a guitar in the first place at such a young age. And then it just sort of went from there. Lots of bands that I grew up listening to, like Guns N' Roses, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath. Sort of transpired from there to more progressive rock bands like Yes, Genesis, King Crimson. And then the time I heard for the first time hearing Clarence White play, and that sort of just changed the game for me because I realized that there's a lot more going on with less notes, and you don't need to play as fast, and it's more about the melody that's coming back to you as opposed to being flashy and things like that. So yeah, that definitely has affected my playing for the better, I hope.
Yeah.
Totally.
Wow, it's such a loaded question.
It is. I'm sorry, and I'm giving it to you guys right off the top.
Hey, it's totally fair.
Where's the standard boilerplate stuff, man?
I'm listening to these guys and I'm going, oh, how am I going to answer that? So, okay, I don't know. I grew up primarily, you know, learning how to sing with like bluegrass and folk and country. So it was pretty natural for my parents and family and people around me to also like Southern rock, you know. And so Southern rock kind of was my first, you know, entry into classic rock, if you will. And it wasn't until I was sort of in my 20s that I started realizing there's this whole other world of, you know, of classic rock, you know. I mean, sure, you hear about it, but I mean, I was a kid of the 80s, so I listened to really terrible 80s music, not the really good stuff, like not the new wave stuff, like, you know, bad 80s. My sister's 6 years older, so I had to really suffer a lot of Bon Jovi. Not that Bon Jovi's bad, just, you know. And so all of a sudden in my 20s, everybody was getting rid of CDs, and all of a sudden vinyl was just for free or next, you know, to nothing. And I could get all these classic rock albums well, people wanted to buy CDs for $25 for the best of the Doors, and I could get all the Doors albums for $1 a piece.
Yeah.
You know, so that just like was my education on my own. So I would say, you know, the Doors definitely early stuff. Steppenwolf is pretty big for me. AC/DC, of course. Bon Scott mostly. Led Zeppelin, of course. I would say those are my early guys, and I can't not make them still at the core of it. But yeah, Southern rock in general. I mean, you name it, I'm into it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think, you know, as a kid, when I first started like listening to music, and my parents got me like a tiny little like Sony like boomboxy thing that I could listen to in my basement. I found these tapes, and they were like 60s tapes, right? So like Chuck Berry and like, you know, and then I found like my dad had these old cassettes of like the Ink Spots and like all these like really old, you know, artists, right? And so I started listening to that, and I was like, wow, this is really great. But then I got my first set of drums at 13, and you know, at that time, you know, it was Offspring. Like I had Smash, I had Dookie, I had like all these like, you know, current bands, right? At that time. And then, you know, my dad was like, here, you got to listen to this stuff. And then he started like really showing me like, yeah, like Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Sabbath, Humble Pie, you know, Steppenwolf, Guess Who. And I'm just like listening to it musically. Like, obviously I was like, wow, like learning to play drums and wanting to play like these drummers, but like just listening to the music itself. I think, you know, for me as an artist, I try to listen to everything. Like, I'm not just listening to like, what are the drums doing? What's the bass doing? What's the guitar doing? You know, what's the lead singer doing? Like, when you kind of look at it as a whole, right? You kind of, right, exactly, right? You don't compartmentalize it, right? You look at it as a whole. You're like, wow, like these guys were like good because they were so tasteful, right? Like they added such a unique thing. So that was kind of like, for me, that's when I was like, I don't just want to be like a smash and bash guy, like playing solos and killing everything, and you know, that's fun. That's really fun.
You want finesse.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. Like,
yeah.
you know, it's about like, you know, being in the pocket, as we always say, and like, you know, playing to the song and you know, knowing, picking your spots, right? I mean, that's what I learned from listening to a lot of like the greats, right? As you know, as we call them. So that was my influences, I guess, as a musician. So take it away.
I grew up in Brazil, so my dad was crazy about classic rock, like Led Zeppelin. And well, I started playing guitar because like Starway to Heaven, like what is this riff? I gotta learn that. And like we had a guitar. My dad had like a guitar, one of those Spanish guitars. The headstock was broken. We glued and we put the strings, and like I had to learn that riff, right? And my mom was all into the Brazilian stuff, more the country Brazilian, popular music, popular from there. So yeah, I have the North American or English side, and I have the Brazilian. I grew up playing guitar. I came to Canada. I didn't play bass before, guys. I started playing bass in my 20s. And
Are you just telling them now in this interview? Or?
You heard it here first.
Yeah, it's
Holy.
true. I'm like a sort of a late bloomer with the bass. Yeah,
We're
it's
just
just
panic attack
it's just
right now.
it's just a demand, you know.
I would have never have known.
Yeah,
It's just a demand, right? Like you're gonna need a. Does anyone need a bass? If you scream there, someone's going, "Hey, bass!" So I started playing projects, and I learned. Like I was always attached to the low end of the strings, right? I have like heroes, like Jaco, Victor Wooten, James Jamerson, like these guys, old school, like they're so good that like if you listen to those lines, like so much, you know, it's like, and yeah, that's how it came, like a mix of like all kinds of music, I guess.
That's awesome. Okay, so yeah, we just went through a pretty extensive list of artists here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how you guys tie all of those things in together to make the sound that you're making.
Well, I know when I write riffs, I grew up with a lot of metal as well too. And the thing with metal is, you know, having the heroes like Dimebag Darrell from Pantera or Dave Mustaine from Megadeth, they have a lot of what I would call signature riffs. These riffs are like very standout, and they're not just like like those are cool too, but they go what I think above and beyond. So I always try to keep that in mind, and you know, when writing a riff, I try to think, is this, you know, above and beyond what I think is maybe status quo, I don't know if I ever achieved that, but I always try to keep those in mind, like when I'm trying to like write stuff. As well.
I think we write
Awesome.
well together. Like when we're in the same room, we have a good understanding and good communication. Like we're at similar level of like musicianship and the way we feel and understand music, and that makes it really helpful for us to craft the songs.
Yeah, it's very easy. It's probably been the easiest it's ever been, for me. Mind you, I'm only singing in the band, but I do play guitar and stuff. So and it's kind of cool. Like I just we an idea comes to the table, and it's easy for me to say, hey, have we just the other night. I said, Darren, I know you wrote that as an intro, but I'm actually singing verse stuff over it, so we need to take that intro and turn it into a verse. He goes, wait a minute, but that's the intro. I'm like, I know, but trust me. And he does trust me, and I think that's the point, is that we trust each other. Like, we say things that may not be comfortable, but we trust that, every idea gets tried. And I think if every idea gets tried, it's fine if it takes a little bit longer, but everybody feels like they had a hand in the decision, so... I don't know if that helps answer.
yeah, no, that's
we
great.
just went around the table with our influences, and I'm sure there was a lot of similarities here. So I mean, I think that sort of helps the melting pot, where we all kind of know where each other's coming from, and we just want to sort of make the best, but we have a very unified direction of how we want the music to sound. So we just bring all of our very similar interests to the table and do the best we can.
Awesome. So you guys got the one track release at this point, In the Wild. Amazing classic rock sound to it. I love the tone. It's beautifully layered track. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Thank you.
I like to write riffs, and I kind of have this problem where I don't really personally like to do a lot of covers. I entertain myself by writing riffs to, just for me. And so when in the infancy stages of this band, and trying to find players and whatever, I was just like, well, I guess I'm going to need some songs, won't I? So I started jamming out the riff and taking some time to piece some things together, and it was just adrenaline, and a lot of people compare it to, I guess, AC/DC. We get a lot of AC/DC comparisons, which is, I like the band and I respect them a lot.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but that's what I find interesting because of the AC/DC comparison. And I was actually going for Humble Pie and Rick Derringer, rock and roll hoochie coo fame, and kind of keep those two people in mind, and nobody catches that at all. AC/DC, back in
But we still love them.
Yeah.
You love their guitar playing too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's easy to say.
And I mean, I definitely noticed when we started really working out the full song, the part that I brought to the table, I did not know that I was bringing a very AC/DC-esque part to the table. And then listening back, it made a lot of sense. I see why people think that, but I mean, it was just sort of doing what we do, just sort of collaborating and, bringing our influences to the table. And next thing you know, people are saying, this song kind of sounds like AC/DC.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds good to me.
I think like the vocals are like one of the main things that like people attach to the AC/DC,
Big focus
like
on that
the grasp
song.
and the
I'm
and
not
how
sorry about it.
We'll take
and how powerful it is. It's
Yeah,
a very
yeah.
powerful track.
Totally.
It's a fun song,
Yeah.
For me, it's actually a weird story. So I was new to the band, very, very new. I think we jammed out one song and sort of did like a rough sort of demo of it. And obviously we need to keep going, we need to keep progress going. So I started feeling the pressure. And I just like grabbed old lyrics that I had from a song that like never really landed. Like I was never really happy with what I did with those lyrics. And I thought, hopefully this goes well tonight. I think it might fit with that riff that they've been showing me. And I was like, let's just give it a shot. And I came in and it landed, and it landed hard. And it was so exciting. It was really, really cool. Four on the floor is four on the floor, but when you have the magic of everybody really believing in it as well, like it really, I remember that night pretty clearly. And I remember actually on the way there, because I was so nervous, because I literally grabbed the lyrics from the drawer in that bedroom. And I was just like, I think that's gonna work. And on the way in the car, I'm listening to it and I'm trying to make it fit. And when I got there and I was like, let's try it, guys. I was like overconfident because I was new to the band. I was new, and it
It's gonna go.
landed, and it was just so exciting, you know, that it went really, really well, and I was like, yes, another win, you know. It's just like, ooh.
I do have
know.
something to say. I knew of her from this band, The Howl, and when I heard her stuff, I'm thinking, we need somebody like that to front this band. We need something like that.
Yeah.
And again, going back to my short list, and she was on top of it. And so, when she came into the room and started, doing her thing, you just know when something clicks. It's like, oh my God, this is the missing piece of the puzzle. It's very difficult to find really great musicians that really you gel with. And it was a relief to finally, put that notion to rest. We found the missing gem.
Yeah.
We started like a very limited time together, but every time we got together, it was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's
it was
true.
amazing.
Yeah.
Very few times, no, we got it.
What are we doing?
Yeah, because we were all busy, like, okay, let's try, and we don't expect much, but then we were all in the same room from the very first day. We knew that this was getting somewhere.
And that's how we feel. I mean,
Yeah.
we're hoping other people
But that's
feel
the
that
main
way.
thing.
We feel that way.
If
So
we all
like,
feel
you know,
this way,
yeah.
we're gonna make music that way.
It's great to hear these stories too, because it's so funny when you work so hard at a band, right? Like you don't kind of take a step back and look at it, right? Like I had no idea about these, how you felt about it, right? In the sense of like when you brought those lyrics to the song, right? Because when you look at it as a whole, right? Like when we're working, it's like it's hard to like take some time out to be like, so what did you really think of it? Like even as ourselves,
Yeah.
right? Like we don't dive into
Yeah.
this as much, right? So when you take a step back and you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, that's how it came together, right?
Yeah,
it's
like, I
had no idea
was,
she had lyrics, and she's like, I'm gonna grab these. I thought it was all
Yeah.
written out, right?
Yeah,
Like,
no, I just,
We're all learning things here.
I
Right.
literally grabbed them out of desperation, and I was nervous. It was not going to work. Like, I was very
see?
nervous.
Yeah, I love Yeah, for me, I guess, because my contribution to this song, because I heard it much later in its kind of development stage. It was kind of already a demo, I guess, for lack of a better word. Because I think it was Dan, right? Is that the drummer's name? Dave. And so Darren sent me a sample of that song, the demo, and it was cut with another drummer. And I listened to it, and I'm like, man, that was... So one, I'm like, okay, so if I'm going to show up and audition for these guys, I'm going to have to, super bring my A game, because, listening to him play drums, I'm like... He reminded me of, the drummers that I was listening to, right? In the song, and I'm like, okay, so for me to, emulate that, to bring that type of playing to it, I'm like, this is great. And then two, I'm just like, holy cow, listening to all the parts together, I'm like, these guys sound like they've been playing for years. They've developed these demos, and I'm like, man, these are way better put together than any, groups I've ever played. You play with your friends, or you play with musicians, and you think ooh, yeah, that was really fun. Yeah, this is great. I'll catch you later. This was a great jam. And I heard these guys, and I'm like, these guys must have been playing for a long time, because they've already got kind of a good sound already hashed out. They've got well put together songs. I think you sent me 3 demos, and I was listening, and I was just like, wow, these are amazing. To me, I thought these could already be out, right? They must have been playing forever.
It's a really good question. How long were we together before Aaron joined? Because I think it's just the fact that we just really work really hard and efficiently.
That's what I thought.
Maybe a year.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I tell the story about how your audition?
No, please go ahead.
All right, this is
Because I
really
don't,
funny. This is
I have my perspective, but I want to hear yours.
So before Aaron came along, we had another fellow that was jamming with us, really good guy, and he's a very skilled musician, but he had to leave. And finding drummers is just again and again trying to find musicians. It's very, very difficult. So I was like, just pay somebody. I said I put up an ad, and Aaron responded, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm giving this kid 20 minutes. If it isn't going to go well, I'm telling him he's going to leave. I had low expectations. I'm thinking 20 minutes, start the timer.
It's fair.
And then the first run through of the song, and I believe it was In the Wild, I'm like, okay, let's give him 25 minutes. 25 minutes came along, okay, maybe we can invite him to the next jam. And so it's just really funny how you're so set on something, and then something else happens, and well, in this case, something really good happened, and we got a drummer and a really nice guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Darren, actually that story. So Darren had bugged me for a while. He sent me some demos before, and they were a little bit more acoustic. They were great, but they didn't fire me up, and then all of a sudden he sends me some electric stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I was telling these guys tonight. I was like, I don't even know if you'd heard this story or not before, but I was like, oh well, I gotta get to work. I listened to like 60 seconds. That's actually really cool. Maybe I'll listen to it more later. So I start getting ready for work, looking for clothes. What am I gonna wear today? And the song will not stop playing in my head. All of a sudden the lyrics start coming to me, and I'm like, what? And I was like, that's it. Grab a pen. That's it, I'm gonna be late for work. And I started writing lyrics down, and I was like, oh man, now I'm gonna have to call this guy back. I'm really
pick you. Right?
Yeah, but I was so happy about it. I'm genuinely happy.
I still remember the exact spot where I was when you said you were in. I remember, if I remember correctly, I was like trying to run down. We got all these things going on. We're gonna do this. We're gonna take over the world. And you're like, no, I'm in. You don't have to sell me. I'm in. And I was like, what? Yeah. And then like butterflies literally came from my heart.
Aww.
True story. And I was like, yeah, it did happen. And I was like so relieved because I knew. I don't want to sound too confident about this, but I knew when I heard her other band and I heard this the singer with this magical voice, I'm like, this is the person that should be fronting this band.
Yeah.
And so when she said she was in, I just breathed, breathed,
Yeah.
breath.
We're still working on that.
Whatever it is, but
Dictionary!
I was relieved because I knew that we found the gem.
Yeah.
We found
Totally.
somebody with that it factor.
Well, I'm blushing. It's way too much praise. It's too much. Yeah.
No, this is awesome.
Next
It's really beautiful to hear about you guys coming together. What is one of you guys' favorite memories from jamming so far?
Oh, wow.
Ooh, the birthday party?
Well, yeah, I guess, that story definitely needs to be shared. So, not too long after I basically met Darren online, then finally met him in person, we got along really well, and a couple of months went by and it was my birthday. I had a few people over, and essentially, if you know me, you know what my birthday party would consist of, and that probably means spinning some records and maybe having some beverages, and we definitely did both.
Just one or two beverages.
Just one or two beverages and records. But one thing I knew we would enjoy was the first Flying Burrito Brothers record, which I just acquired on vinyl.
Nice.
So decided to put that on, and Darren and I being in the kitchen and being big fans of the band, we started singing along to some of the songs, and then I started to realize, I know he's a good guitar player, and we were both between bands, and we both liked the same music. We thought, well, why aren't we doing something? And it was just this little molecule of an idea, and sure enough, as the month transpired, we started thinking well, what are we going to do? How are we going to find these people? What kind of band are we starting? 5 years later, this is what you're getting. This is the final product.
Well, and we've known each other for 4 or 5 months before this birthday party. We were always talking about rock music and whatever, and we never thought, hey, let's form a band. We just never thought about this. But when I was at said birthday party, again, 1 or 2 beverages, in moderation, being responsible. Well, I saw this goofy little grin on his face, and I knew what he was thinking. I guess almost I could see inside his head, like, let's start a band together. And then I had that goofy little smile too, like I kind of do right now, see? And I was like, let's start a band together. So it seemed like we were on the same page, and
I'm just seeing like a cartoon with like hearts above.
It was a bromance. It really was.
They say the truth comes out, right? Yeah, the truth definitely slipped out in the kitchen.
So hang on a second though. Did you guys actually jam?
Not that night.
Not really.
That was the question though, right?
This is a good story.
I like the story. I love it.
This leads to the jamming stories.
We're going roundabout.
Yeah.
Well, and we started jamming, and then we realized the interesting thing about me and Justin as guitar players is that we're actually quite different individually, but it's kind of like the peanut butter and jelly effect, where it's like, I don't know which one is which, but when we come together, it's got that natural, when we work our guitar parts, it's kind of effortless. So it's great. It's very natural. It's not too much labor, which is great because it works out pretty fast. But what he has, I don't, and I like to think what I have, he doesn't, and it's just a good fit. So with the first couple times jamming with him was great. Meeting Bill and hearing his funky bass lines, and just hearing him play, I knew that this guy was the right fit. Plus, he looks cool, and that's really important.
It was the hair, right?
Beautiful hair. That was a selling point right there.
You'd hire. Said we weren't going to talk about it.
That wasn't a contract before we started this interview.
That's it.
We love your hair.
I love your hair. It's okay.
I'm just.
So, but And then, of course, jamming with Lindsay, that magical day when everything just,
Yes.
and then hearing Aaron play, it just all kind of, it took a while, but it all kind of just happened. And everybody, when they came into the picture and that first jam with said person, it was just a bunch of magical moments.
Yeah. I don't know, I think my favorite jam was In the Wild. Like,
The first
how
time?
quickly that song just went. It was like, it happened and the structure was like done. Like in the first night, like I think we just had to fine tune stuff in pre-production. Like it was
quick,
it was
yeah.
really quick, and for me that was like, wow. Yeah, I was really blown away, like goosebump level sort of, especially because I felt like I pulled that out of my A. So,
Like the collective light bulb went
A
off. And we're
drawer.
like, if this is if this is so good so quickly, we need to run with it and see
Yeah.
how much further we can go.
We had a couple chats before this interview about some of the behind the scenes stuff that you guys going on. It seems like you're really working hard to make sure you got a proper plan. You're not just kind of like, throwing it out in the wind. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about how you guys come up with that as a team, about your planning for how to release music as it's going to start coming out?
Sure. I guess I'll take that. I think we understand that the landscape has changed. In terms of how people promote their music. Obviously, digital, social media, all of that stuff. It's become so much more important than it ever was. I mean, I think we're all. What are we all? We're all in our 30s and our 40s in this band, right? Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Right. That's right. Okay. I'm really bad
Close
with
enough.
birthdays.
Yeah.
I'm terrible with birthdays. I'm not good at all with that. So yeah, if I forget your birthday, I'm really sorry in advance. But the point is that we understood that pretty early on. We knew, okay, we can make a great product, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go anywhere. It's going to do what we want. Because we're in our 30s and our 40s, we don't have a ton of time to waste. We want to get it right. That's not to say that we have it right now, but we're putting our best foot forward. So we've all been taking a lot of time to learn a lot about social media and sort of what's important really to fans. And we're hoping that we can learn, and reach out to the kind of people that might like this music, but also we're hoping to get a lot of feedback from them so that we can continue to give what they may want on those platforms. But we're never going to know unless we hear. So I think our biggest thing is we're going to do a lot, but we'd love to do more, and the only way we're going to know how well that's received is if people get back to us. So I think the main thing is we just want people to let us know, what you're thinking, and did you like that? Did you not like that? That's okay.
Yeah.
We can do other things. We just want to get really creative with it because it is a space that you can be creative. It's one thing to make music, but it's a whole other thing to be able to really be there for the fans. And I think that's something that we're taking to be very important.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, one big thing too that we've been missing for the last year and a half, but you were talking about feedback with the music. Back when we had live music, before everything shut down in this country, that was such an instant way to instantly see, like, are people dancing? What's the reaction? What's going on
Yeah.
with that? Which you guys haven't had with this band yet. But you guys, I'm sure, are going to be getting to some shows soon. What are some venues you guys are excited to get into?
good question.
The Fillmore.
Yeah.
ACC.
Yeah.
The Fillmore. Yeah, I don't know, guys.
I'd start with the Horseshoe.
Yeah, for
In
sure. The
Toronto,
Horseshoe is
sure.
obviously a classic.
Horseshoe to
right?
the Fillmore?
Yeah. Horseshoe to the Fillmore.
Wembley Stadium.
The Danforth, right? That's obviously a classic too, right?
Yeah.
You get in there. That's got some great shows, I think.
Yeah, I think with anything, it's a matter of sort of getting in venues where you think you're gonna draw. It's not really about the venue for me. It's about the bill.
Yeah.
Personally, I think
The event.
it's the event. It's the bill needs to make sense.
Yeah.
It's really easy to throw together a whole bunch of indie bands that don't actually make sense together, and
What, are you from Toronto or something?
Been there, done that.
To me, it's like if you really want people to stick around and drink beer and not just leave after they saw their friend play, then make a bill that makes sense. People will drink all night.
Yeah.
To me, that's just obvious. And some promoters and some bars do that really, really well. Some don't. And so I guess my answer is I want to play at those places.
Well, let's talk about who are some other local bands that you guys would like to play on a bill with?
Oh man.
Wow.
Well, I know some Ontario bands out there that I think would be stylistically a good fit. There's a band from Barrie called Bigfoot's hands that have a kind of old, like a 70s, 90s sound. You might know who they are.
Oh, I don't know them actually, but I love that name.
There's another band called Sweet and the Big Bad that also has like a 70s kind of sound. They're from the Newmarket, Aurora area.
I'm a fan of Kings and Queens, you know, Littlefoot, Longfoot, like, you know, like bands like that in town, like fantastic live, fantastic music. I'm trying to think of other ones right now. It's really hard to tell who's still active right now.
Yeah, that's so true.
After COVID, like it's really hard to know.
We want to play with anyone, but is there anyone out there to play with? Right? You know, like.
Yeah, but hey, you know, I think it's just really about making sure, like I said, that it makes sense. And I think there's a lot of bands out there. But, you know, maybe there's something to that. Maybe these bands need to learn how to network better so that they can, you know, we all need to be better at saying, hey, like, I like what you're doing. We need to, like, go to a venue and tell them, like, we all want to play together and it's within your best interest to book all of us. Because we have fans and they'll stay all night.
Yeah.
And they'll buy beer. You know? So,
And they'll like you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I think that point you just touched on is so important, and maybe something that didn't happen as much pre-pandemic, but hopefully will post-pandemic, is like Toronto bands really do need to work together.
Yeah.
Like if we're all gonna make this music scene work, I really think there's gonna have to be a lot more teamwork than there was in the past.
But it's not just Toronto. Like there's a lot of
Yeah,
great
not
bands.
just Toronto. Yeah, I'm talking about Toronto because that's where we are. I keep
Right.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of like, you know, great venues out of town. Well, I hope they're still there. But there's a lot of great talented bands all over the place, and I think that we should all be working together. And whatever genre you play music in, you got to find your people.
Yeah.
You know, people that have a very similar sound. You know, if you're a Toronto-based band, you know, try to find your London peeps, your St. Catherine peeps, your Hamilton peeps, people that, you know, have a bit of a local fan base so that you can go over there and there's already a little bit of a built-in crowd. And when they come over to Toronto, where we're at, then we can reciprocate, you know? So I think that it's really important to, you know, have your circle of people, you know, your circle of bands, your peers.
Yeah, we could work harder at making, like, genre communities. I don't know, like, or something along those lines. I'm not sure if that's a great term or not, but you see what I'm getting with that, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Like
just a little scene.
Well, a scene is just, it could be anything. I mean,
Yeah,
you can
but
consider
your scene, you gotta find your people and your
you know what?
scene.
At this point, I feel like it's like if we just, you know, as the music scene or like, you know, as venues start opening up, it's like once you start finding good bands, it's like even if they might obviously not be totally in our genre or in our style, it's like if they're good people, a good band, they can draw people. It's like cool. Like let's hold on to them, right? Like let's try and help each other out, right? Like obviously you guys got a good fan base. You guys are great to work with. We've got a good fan base.
Yeah.
you know, if they get along well with us, it's like great. You know, like hold on to those bands, right? Because I feel like, at least from my experience, you know, when in previous bands, you know, long ago, if I was playing on a bill. And, you know, you found a really great band. It's like, oh, we should totally, like, do more shows together. This is great. You never hear from them again, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't stay in touch. And then, or, you know, you're like, oh, man, you guys are really great. And it's like, yeah, and they just, like, you know, blow you off. It's like this was a one-time thing, and they're out. And it's like, well, you know, that would have been great because we, you know, the crowd was really digging us both. We could have really made something out of that, right?
Yeah.
So I hope, you know, when bands find each other,
Yeah.
you know, they get that connection, they hold on, right? And that'll help a lot, I think, right? Like just re-rolling out music. Like
So if there's any bands watching this later,
right? You guys want to connect,
and you happen to like us, we're super open.
Totally, we'll try it.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Let's aside for I'm sure you guys will be getting some live music as soon as you can. Aside for that, what's coming up? What's the future plans?
Go for it.
It's a good one.
The future plans. So obviously, In the Wild's released. We're really excited about that. You know, we've done a lot of work rolling this out, and it's a great tune. But we have some more coming. So we're really excited. We've got 2 more singles that we're going to be releasing soon, and you know, hopefully we can get back with you and talk with them about it again. You know, we're really just so excited that these tunes came out of, you know, really interesting time in all of our lives. Like really, when you think about it, the entire world has been going through trauma. These songs and some of them, In the Wild's more of like just get back down to business, you know, get back down to like just being with your partner and like get out, you know, and be in the wild, get down and be wild. That's really straightforward,
Have
straight
some
rock
fun,
and
man.
roll. The other two songs coming up are a little bit more introspective in the sense that, like, I think we've all been really evaluating, like, what it is that's important to us, and also it's really easy for things to get in your way when you're evaluating those things. And so there's some messages there that are coming out, and I'm pretty excited about those messages. And I think as a band, we're all really excited to share that stuff. So.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're excited to play together, play live.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Keep making music, you know, writing songs. That's what I look forward to, you know, and see where this is gonna get, like, because I have a good expectation of it.
Too.
I think a lot of us have spent, a fair amount of time on stages and things like that, and for this pandemic to come in and basically take all of the live music away. I think all of us are we're ready to get back on those stages and do what we've been put here to do. And once we get everything lined up and all the venues start opening up and the bands start coming back out of the woodwork, I think we're going to be right there with them.
Yeah, we want to get loud.
Yeah.
Like really loud.
If that's okay.
Yeah. If that's okay.
We won't push it to 11, but we'll push it to 10 and a half.
If we're playing your grandmother's backyard, we'll keep it chill. But other than that, it's going up.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, this one's gonna stem from my conversation with you earlier. But where do you see you guys yourself in 5 years?
That's a great question.
Manager.
World tour.
Yeah, world
Nice
tour.
one. Yeah.
Yes.
Manager
yeah.
is the best answer I've heard
Yeah.
for a question in a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
junior
I'm gonna work myself
manager.
up.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it would be nice if we, in the next over the next 5 years, if we can prove to ourselves that we're going to be an international recording, touring band that is able to survive off our passion. That would be great. And if we work hard enough, I think we might be able to do it. That would be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we'd like to have at least an album under our belt, and
Maybe even two.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe
and
even two.
5 for sure too.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Double albums.
Ooh.
Ooh.
2 double.
2
albums.
CDs.
2 double albums.
I don't. For me, I would really just like to be able to play, consistently, play live consistently, and make music consistently, and be able to do it and not actually have to work a full-time job. I think that's every musician's dream, is to actually be able to do it full-time, to have that time. And I think we have the commitment, and I think we have the drive that we would make that worth it. We just have to keep working just as hard, and I think we could probably have a good chance.
That's it. I mean, I believe in the music enough, and as long as we stick to it, the music will prevail, and I think ultimately we'll achieve our goal. So
Yeah. We just want people to know the Wayward Saints, right?
that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Get like somewhere there, they're like, oh, that's Elias Wayward Saints. Yeah, we know them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
They're
playing
like,
tonight?
they're trying, you know.
So Bill, your 5-year plan is just straight up brand recognition. Just,
Yeah.
got it, check.
I've toured across Canada, and to just be able to take it that much further, right? Like as this thing grows, I'm sure opportunities will open up more so than in past experiences playing and doing stuff. So I mean, that's just I think about that because obviously that was a great experience. So to do something even larger than that and stepping it up, that's fantastic.
Awesome.
Here we come. New Zealand.
Yeah.
That would be great. Why not?
Moose
I've
Jaw,
never been-
Saskatchewan.
There you go. Yeah. Alert.
Right.
It
Something
takes
like
about the
that.
same
man.
time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would take us about the same time to get to northern Canada as it would to go around to
Right.
Auckland.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wicked. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I've got one last question for you guys. If you guys had any last messages to share with anybody watching it, what would that be?
Thank you very much for listening to us. Hopefully you enjoy what you heard. And we would like to write more great music for you to entertain you and to touch your heart.
I think I want to say I use Pantene, so Pantene if you want to get at me.
More with the hair stuff.
Oh jeez. Look at me now, Mom. I'm with this
Yeah.
riffraff. No,
There
I'm
we
kidding.
go.
No, that's not what I want to say. But don't know. I'm really grateful for you taking the time and being interested in us, and for any of you guys watching. If you made it to the end of this interview, amazing. Thank you for finding us interesting, and hopefully you can continue to find us interesting.
Yeah. You know, if you hear our music and you know you like us, like we want to. I think for me, I'm always the type of person that wants to be really personable. You know, I like talking to people. Like the one thing I miss, especially about playing live music, is obviously like seeing people face to face and just chatting, right? Like, you know, I've told these guys, I've had people come up to me and be like, "Man, you're so great, and I love, you know, the music you're playing," and I'm like, "Great, come on over and we'll, you know, chat and whatever." And I've had people come up to me and be like, "You are terrible. You are like not a good musician." And I'm like, "Cool, man. Well, come on over. Let's talk about it." Like, to me, it doesn't matter. And I just want to talk to people and hang out and you know. So if you love it, then let us know. That's all.
And if you don't, let us know.
And if you don't, let us know too. Like that's cool.
We're cool with that. Yeah.
As long as you're around, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Just know
you're
that
showing up.
Just know that you're wrong by saying that.
We love you guys anyway.
Your opinion's still fair.